Dear participants, before we begin, please be reminded that the event will be recorded and posted on our social media. Hello everyone, welcome to Student Chapter Development Workshop 2023.
I'm so excited for today's event, but before that, let us first introduce ourselves. My name is Oluseyi Akimboade from SPE IFP Student Chapter.
And my name is Nadila from SP University of Indonesia Student Chapter, and today we will be the Master of Ceremonies for today's event. First of all, we would like to say welcome to all of SP Student Chapters from around the world.
Before we progress, we would like to present to you the team behind today's event. For the representatives from UI and then IFP School, the floor is yours.
All right. Thank you very much for the time. So good evening, everyone. I'm Yemi Mas, the president of SPUISC, and it is really amazing to see 25 student chapters gathered in this event tonight. And it is an honor for us, SPUISC, to be able to host such grand event with SPIFP School. And we would like to express our gratitude to Mr. Terry Palish as the SP International President 2024, Ms. Rita Esuru from Texas A&M University, and Mr. Henki and Ms. Laura as the SP Head Region. So a slight background about SPUISC, our student chapter was established in 1999, and one of the early student chapters that was established under the SP Java section. Java is a part of Indonesia, and SP Asia Pacific region. So we are also proud to show one of our prestigious achievement here, that is getting the Student Chapter Excellence Award last year. We also have several interesting activities that will be explained by Aldrich as the Vice President.
All right, thank you, Yemima. Evening, everyone. Very delighted to see you all here in this brilliant event. I'm Aldrich, as the current Vice President of SPUISC 2023. We'll continue to our several highlighted activities that is shown in this slide. The first one is company visit, in which we provide events for our members. where we visited various prominent oil and gas companies in our country. The next one is software training, in which we provide events for our members to study mostly about oil and gas softwares. The next one is Petro Days. It is our own internal competition for our members, for them to test the best of their abilities and test their oil and gas acumen. The next one is Skill Finder, in which in this year we collaborated with SLB or Schlumberger to conduct SLB recruitment series. Our other activities, in which it isn't beaten in terms of quality, is job fair, lab visit, field trip, SPE first, and lastly is coaching for delegates. That is all from us. Back to MC. Thank you.
Okay, so let me quickly also present on behalf of IFP. So I'm Oluseyi once again from IFP School Student Chapter. I'm the current president, and as we all know, IFP School SPA Student Chapter is quite old. It's been established since 1996. And over time, we've been doing our best to ensure that people in the oil and gas industry, people that are looking at going towards that space, are getting the best of the best from our student chapter. For the first time, we launched a SP Out of Context event where we bring speakers from different aspects of non-technical fields, things like business, and then we also incorporate things like mental health. So people will come from different non-technical skills to come and talk to us about it. We recently won the European Regional finals for the Petrol Bowl. We've had a couple of diversity and inclusion events, and then for the first time as well, we also launched our own podcast. I think that's everything from SPE IFP School Student Chapter.
Okay, thank you so much for SPUIC and SPIFP School for making this event happen today.
Yes, so sorry for that, guys. Yeah. So now we're going to look at the general rules for today's event. The key thing for us to note now is that first, we should try and have fun, participate actively. During presentations, when people are speaking, participants will be muted. And then it is also highly recommended that you turn off your camera if people are speaking, and then turn it on if you are speaking as well. And let's also have it at the back of our minds that the event will be recorded and then posted on social media subsequently.
Yeah, before we start our first activity, I'm going to briefly explain the outline for today's event. First, there is going to be opening remarks from the SPE Regional Directors of Europe and Asia Pacific, then a presentation from Mr. Charif Ellis, our 2024 SPE International President. Next, we will go to the breakout rooms for a knowledge sharing session, and after the breakout room, we will go back to the main room for the next presentation by Dr. Rita Asro Okurafor, an assistant professor at Texas A&M University. And I should note that there will be a Q&A session for 10 minutes following each presentation from our keynote speakers. We have also arranged some games and prizes for today. Lucky participants will go home with a total of 50 euros Amazon gift cards after answering questions based on the two keynote presentations.
I hope we are all getting excited already. So without further delay, we shall begin the Student Chapter Development Workshop officially.
Now, to progress with the event, we will be inviting the regional directors of SPE Europe and the Asia Pacific region to give their opening remarks. Firstly, we will call on Mrs. Laura Prekupenu, the SPE Regional Director of Europe, to give the opening remarks for Student Chapter Development Workshop 2023. For Mrs. Laura, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Nadila. Thank you so much. And thank you for inviting me here today. Dear SP students, I'm glad and truly thankful for the invitation today. It is great to be with you at the SP Student Chapter Development Workshop starting today. Not my first attendance. I remember giving a similar speech at the beginning of the same workshop 2 years ago. So a sincere welcome to all of you, and I'm pleased to see your work and your involvement and so many students online. Please allow me to briefly introduce myself. As already stated, I'm the SP Regional Director for Europe, Senior Expert Capability Excellence, working for an operator in Romania. OMV Petrom is the name of my company. I'm in my last year as Regional Director and really happy to support the young generation with their work and events. My tenure as regional director began during a particularly tough moment for the humanity, for the oil and gas sector, and for the SP. However, I was confident at the time, and today confirms that we were correct. Together, only together, we will succeed in maintaining our activities, developing and growing our ongoing projects. So, if I can give you a small piece of advice, is be optimistic always. Today's event is also a wonderful example of how student chapters engage with their members and invite participation. This participation can serve later in your professional development, in expanding your net of contacts, and of course, collaboration. I hope you will actively participate in the scheduled sessions as you were invited when we listen to the general rules, and really make these 2 days an important experience in your student life. Following the line of thought, trusted technical knowledge and tools that inform your work and promote best practices in the industry, I strongly encourage you to tap better into SP resources. This piece I read is from the SP website. I recommend devoting time to understanding the benefits of your membership to further connect and grow alongside this impressive society. During the years as officer with my section as regional director, I realized that there is room for improvement in this regard. I would therefore kindly invite you to visit the SP Resources website, and please try to integrate these resources in your chapter's activities. When we think about the future of the energy sector, in what we have to do to enhance the opportunities of developing innovative solutions for the world's growing energy challenges, you, the students, play a very important role. The energy transition in Europe, and not only, is one of the most significant shifts in the energy sector in recent times. The region is committed to reducing its carbon footprint and achieving a net zero carbon emissions target by 2050. This transition presents an enormous opportunity for students and young professionals pursuing energy programs in general. As Europe expands the use of different energy sources, there is a growing demand for experts, of course, in the energy technologies such as geothermal, CCS, hydrogen, wind. You, the students who pursue petroleum engineering programs, will be very well positioned to take advantage of this shift and build successful careers in the energy sector. These programs will provide you, the students, with the skills needed to design, to install, and maintain the energy systems for years to come. It will contribute to the region's carbon footprint reduction. You, the young generation, has a crucial role to play in the future of energy. With your fresh perspectives, innovative ideas, and commitment to sustainability, you are well suited to lead the transition to a cleaner energy sector. Young professionals like you can bring new approaches and ideas to the table, helping to drive innovation and push the sector forward. Please allow me to mention some of the most important projects in Europe aimed at reducing the carbon emissions, and one of them is the Norwegian Northern Lights project. This project is part of the Norwegian full-scale carbon capture and storage project. The project will include capture of CO2 from one or two industrial capture sources. The Northern Lights project comprises of transportation, receipt, and permanent storage of CO2 in a reservoir in the northern part of North Sea. Another project is the K6 project that you might know very well. And here I'm talking to the students in France. The project is a key step in the development of the Dunkirk-D'Artagnan PCI, Project of Common Interest, which aims to create a multimodal CO2 export hub from Dunkirk industrial base into its broader area. So, in conclusion, the energy transition is happening, and you will play an important role, and your innovative ideas and fresh perspectives can truly help drive the sector forward. Last but not least, please allow me to really acknowledge the hard work of the organizers of this workshop. I wish you best of luck with your activities today and tomorrow, and always invest in your future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Laura, for the remarkable speech. Next, I am glad to invite the SPE Regional Director of Asia Pacific, Mr. Henricus Herwin, to give his opening remarks for the Students' Chapter Development Workshop 2023. Mr. Henricus, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Akinbode. Good evening, Jakarta. Good afternoon, Europe, and good morning, US. Wow. I am very pleased to be here today, and I'm proud as well to attend this development workshop organized by two institutions which are close to my heart. University of Indonesia, because it's located in Jakarta, where I grew up, and located in Asia Pacific, in which I'm the regional director. And IFP School, because I'm a proud alumni of IFP School. I did Développement et Exploitation du Monde in 2000, back then in Paris. And Paris is also very close to my heart, which I got married over there 10 years ago. So this workshop signify collaboration between two institutions located in two different continents, two different culture, 13 hours time difference. No, it's 6 hours, 5 hours time difference, 13 hours by flight. So I can imagine that the committee who organized this has faced a lot of challenges. Bravo that you made it so far. And I wish you a fruitful workshop today and also tomorrow. I would like to continue, Laura, on energy transition. It's true that we are now facing a period of uncertainty, but it's also an exciting period for all of us as energy professional. We have to produce cleaner energy to ensure that the world that we are living can be sustainable. But we also noticed recently, especially after the war between Ukraine and Russia, that we need also energy security. So security becoming very important today. And since the economical growth is going on, and everybody, and we also like to see that the standard of living of everybody in this world is increasing, we also have to have affordable energy. So we have energy trilemma here: sustainability, security, and also affordability. And it will make a pace of energy transition will be different from one region to another. The energy transition in Europe will be different compared to the one in Africa and also in Asia. There will be uncertainty, and we have to be ready to a multiple scenario. And for you and also for us as energy professional, we have to be agile and to be able to move from one scenario to another, because we really don't know what will exactly happen in the future. And during the workshop, you will listen to many speakers, including our president, Terry. This is a very good opportunity to learn and to continuously learning. And also, as mentioned by Laura, it's very important to use the network of SPE. We are a global organization, exists in 188 countries with nearly 200,000 members. I'm happy to hear today that that there are 25 student chapter join this event. Please take advantage of it. Knowledge is important, very important, but network is also important for you going forward in your career in the future. So at the end, I would like to wish you a fruitful workshop. I believe this kind of event will prepare the next generation of energy that have to face greater challenges compared to the previous generation. Once again, all the best, and bravo to all the committee. You have done very good work, and this also signifies the voluntary spirit of SPE. Thank you very much, and I return back to Akin Boade and also Nadila.
Thank you very much to Mr. Henrikus for the amazing opening remarks.
We have had an outstanding address from the regional directors of SPE Europe and Asia Pacific. They've welcomed us with open hands. Now, without further ado, we will go straight to the next session.
For the first workshop session, we will invite the 2024 SPE International President, who also doubles as the Vice President, Technology and Engineering, Carbo Ceramics. He joined Carbo in 2004, and his current position leads a team of technologists developing and championing new products and services and advising clients on completion and fracture optimization. He has been an active SPE member, serving in various roles, including past chairman of the SPE Dallas section, past chair of the SPE Annual Technical Conference and Exhibition Technical Program, and former SPE Completions Technical Director. He is an SPE Distinguished Member and received the award for Distinguished Service, such as the SPE Mid-Continent Regional Completions Optimization and Technology Award and the Regional Service Award. This amazing personality is none other than Mr. Charipelis, with the presentation theme SPE's Future and Students' Involvement in the Energy Transition Era. For Mr. Charipelis, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Can I share my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. And are we seeing the screen okay? Can you start the slideshow?
Yes, sir, we can see your screen clearly.
Perfect. All right, well, very good. Technology works again. So I want to thank everybody. First of all, I want to thank you for the invitation to speak. One of the things as president, that as I've just started my term, one of my primary goals, but also the most fun thing I do, is to speak to students, because I recognize that you guys are you're really the future of our profession, the future of the world. The world depends on you and what you're going to do. And so it's excited. I always am excited about the energy the literal energy that I see from students. And for you to have hundreds of people on this call is just amazing. And I really want to congratulate you on a great program and a great organization. So I'm going to talk to you, I am going to cover what you said in the title, but the title of my talk is really SPE and You, Creating Your Energy Future, because I think it's important as students getting ready to enter our industry that you understand how important what it is you're going to do is to not just yourselves, but also to the world in general. As we go through the presentation, there's really four main themes that I hope you take away from this. The first thing is that energy is critical. It's critical to life. It's critical to ours, but it's also critical to the environment. The second thing that I hope you take away is that the energy transition could probably better be termed energy diversification. It's going to take all forms of energy to move us into the future, and it's going to take a lot of energy and effort in order to clean that energy out. The third thing is it's going to take a tremendous amount of technologies that we have not even discovered yet, technologies that will be driven by you guys as you enter as you start your careers in order for us to solve what we call the energy trilemma, and that is bringing affordable, reliable, secure, and clean energy to the world. And then lastly, I hope what you can take away from this is that SPE can be your resource to thrive. This is how I'll end my talk today, is talking to you about how SPE can be the avenue by which you can further your careers and deliver your professional development. So to start off with, as I said before, energy is the building blocks of life. Without energy, no life form exists. You and I, we need energy. We call it chemical energy because we eat food, and that food gives us energy so that we can live. And over the course of mankind or human history, there have been three major energy milestones. The first milestone was when we discovered fire. Because up until discovering fire, we were eating roots and berries and things, much of which our body didn't know how to turn into caloric intake and energy. So when we discovered fire, it allowed us to cook our food and allow us to break down those into our nutrients and for our body, but also it gave us a whole new avenue of protein source. The next energy milestone was agriculture. And when we discovered agriculture, we have to understand that up until that point in time, every waking moment of every day of every human being was spent looking for their next meal. They were looking for berries, they were hunting, things like that. When we discovered agriculture, that allowed us to plant food near where we lived, and then that allowed us to stay in one place and improve our living conditions. And then last, but certainly not least, is when we discovered fossil fuels. Fossil fuels drove a tremendous amount of technology, and fossil fuels is what drove the chart that you see on the right. The chart you see on the right is basically life expectancy of various areas of the world, continents of the world. And up until the discovery of fossil fuels, this life expectancy was somewhere between 25 and 35 years of age. And when we brought in fossil fuels, that allowed us to usher in the Industrial Revolution. And the Industrial Revolution allowed us to improve our living conditions, medical, and just a whole host of things, which in turn drove life expectancy to where it is today. In most of the Western and the developed world is now exceeding 70 years old. All that was driven by coal, oil, and natural gas. Now, over the course of time, energy sources have evolved. So this is a chart showing where our energy has come from since 1800. And before 1800, it was always biomass, so wood, dung. We were burning that for our energy. In mid-1800s, the onset of coal, then oil, then natural gas, of course, as I said before, drove the Industrial Revolution. And those fossil fuels not only drove the Industrial Revolution, but at that point in time, it started lifting people out of poverty. As it lifted people out of poverty, it raised life expectancy. And as it raised life expectancy, it in turn regenerated and met the world's energy needs. And as you can see, there's been a tremendous increase in the need for energy over the last 50 to 100 years. And as we've done that, these energy sources have evolved. So it's gone from not just coal, oil, and natural gas, but it has begun to include important energy sources like the renewables of solar, wind, hydro, and so on. So I want to just take a quick moment to make sure we understand something about fossil fuels. Why did that drive progress? And the reason, one of the primary reasons it drove progress is because of its density. So when we are burning, or if you look over on the left, biomass, or when you're looking at our renewables, they can provide energy, but it's a low energy density. When you look over to the right at fossil fuels and nuclear, that's high density energy. And what that means is the easiest way to think of that is to think in terms of providing electrons versus providing molecules. So electrons are electric driven, of course. Molecules are fuels that are burned. So that also then gives us intermittent versus reliable sources of energy. And it also gives us renewable versus thermal. What do we mean by thermal? So thermal is very important to the energy mix, because without thermal energy, we can't make things such as ammonia for our agriculture, for fertilizer, cement, steel, plastics. All those are only made possible when we can drive process heat. And in order to drive process heat, we need to have dense energy sources. So dense energy drives modern societies. If you look across the developed world has both energy, electricity, and fuels. So they're both very important to the energy mix. So let's take another step and look at the world as a whole, and look at, first of all, global income. This chart is provided by Scott Tinker in one of his talks. We'll come back to him later. But if you look in terms of the yellow colors represent low income areas of the world. So that's mostly sub-Saharan Africa, some areas of Southern Asia. We have the high income areas, which would be the West, the Europe, the Australia, Japan. And then we have everyone in between that are in various levels of low to upper middle income. South America, Central America, Western Asia, and so on. The reason this is important is because depending on where you live, and Henriquez mentioned this, depending on where you live is what you need, what's more important for you from an energy standpoint. For example, if you are in the emerging areas, low income areas of the world, you have energy poverty. You don't have access to energy that most of the rest of the world has. Electricity is unavailable and you're still burning wood and things like that. So for you, you need affordable energy, okay? The climate and everything else is not as important. It's all important to you, but it's not as important as just getting access to energy so that you can raise yourself out of poverty. The next set of groupings are middle income. And this, by the way, represents the great majority of the world. Okay, in this area, you have access to energy, but the energy is not necessarily secure. It could be because of geopolitical issues. It could just be because of infrastructure. So for you, you need reliable energy. So you've got available energy, but now it needs to be reliable and secure. And then if you live in the more high income areas, we call it the developed world, you have full access to both electrons and molecules, all forms of energy. And so what you are concerned with now is trying to make sure you have climate security, as we talk about with our climate change. So for you, your most concern now is with clean energy. And so, again, I don't want to overemphasize it, but Henriquez mentioned this earlier. Depending on where you are in the world is going to what drives your need for your primary concern with energy. We have to remember that over 60% of the global population lives in some level of energy poverty. Okay, that may mean that they don't have access to any electricity. That may mean that their access to energy is intermittent, but they live in some level of energy poverty. And most of these areas are in the emerging and developing world. Now I want to put another map on top of that I just showed you. So you see the coloring looks very similar to the developing versus emerging versus developed world. But what we're looking at here is air quality. This is particulate levels in the air. And if you are in a reddish region, you have low air quality or higher, dirtier air. And if you're in a green area, you have cleaner area. Now, what's interesting about this map? This map, when you compare it to this map, looks very similar. The areas of the world that have the most access to energy and that actually use the most energy per capita are actually the areas of the world that have the cleanest air. Because if you're a poor country and you don't have access to energy, you can't afford to clean up the environment. So you're continuing to burn wood and other biomass instead of using clean energy sources like natural gas, like propane, or like electricity, okay? So it's just very important to understand that energy development also drives our economic environment, or excuse me, our environmental footprint. So again, I mentioned Scott Tinker. He made a statement that I heard recently that I thought was really compelling. So energy itself is not going to end poverty, but we can't end poverty without energy. So think about that. Energy itself doesn't end the poverty, but without energy, we can't end poverty. And the reason for that is because energy drives everything we do, as we showed in one of my first charts. So that then brings us to what some people call the energy trilemma. It's called a trilemma because we, as I said before, humanity needs energy that's three things. It's accessible and affordable. It needs to be reliable and secure, but it has to be evergreen and decarbonized. Okay, they're all three very important, and we can't focus on just one. We have to focus on the entire energy mix. And that entire energy mix is not as much of an energy transition trilemma as I believe it's an energy opportunity for those of us in our profession. So one remark I want to make to you, first of all, is congratulations. Congratulations for joining our industry, joining an industry that has affected raising the level of economic growth in our world. It will continue to make a difference. Our industry is providing energy that is meeting the energy trilemma. The future needs us. It needs our energy. It needs you. It needs all of us. I'm 59 years old. I'm not going to be in this industry much longer. But for you, and what you're going to do as you enter this industry, it's going to be very critical to the world, because you are going to be uniquely positioned to solve the problems of leading our world forward in energy needs. So I want you to first and foremost be proud of what your choice, and proud of yourselves, and proud of your profession and industry. So let's go back and talk a little bit about this energy transition. So I'm showing you the same chart I showed you earlier. And on this chart, notice that if we looked at the energy mix in 1985, so over 30 years ago, almost 40 years ago, the fossil fuel mix, so coal, oil, natural gas, was about 87%. Over the course of that time, over the course of the last 35 years, we have, of course, grown renewables dramatically, and it's been great growth. But at the same time, everything else has grown as well. So we're still at 83%, even with the growth in renewables. And what's interesting is that even in the bottom, the traditional biomass, that hasn't gone away any more than anything else. And so we don't typically transition out of an energy. What instead, some people might call this an energy evolution. So our energy sources are evolving, and where we use our energy and where it's coming from is evolved. Other people have called it energy diversification. So we have a diverse set of energy sources that are geared completely towards what's best for a region or an area. Some areas are more suited for solar, some areas are more suited for fossil fuels, and so we have to be diversified. Like I said before, I like to call it the energy opportunity for petroleum engineers, because we have the ability to affect all of these. So I want to show you a couple more charts, and then I'll get into talking about SPE. So if we look at the primary energy consumption by source, this is very similar to the chart I showed you before. I just put it in a little different form. So this is energy source. We look at, first of all, coal and oil over the last 50 years. You can see the gradual rise in their use. Okay, coal and oil, again, are the most dense energy sources. Next, we have natural gas and nuclear. Natural gas probably has grown the most over that course of time, but that's then the next dense set of energy. And then lastly, I want to put on top of there the renewables. And as you can see, in the last 50 years or so, or maybe 30 years, renewables have grown dramatically. But the takeaway here again is that everything has grown. And the other thing to just notice, you notice what that blip is over in the right, the quick drop and then recovery. That's COVID. And a lot of people thought COVID were going to drive us to a different energy mix. But as you can see, we have quickly recovered from COVID. Now, the thing we have to understand is that's the past. That's what's happened till now. But what's happening in the future? So remember what I said before, 60% of the global population primarily living in developing and emerging society, 60% of the population lives in some level of energy poverty. So they are looking for energy. Even with the work that's been done with trying to end world poverty, 10% of the world still lives on less than $2 international dollars a day. So 10% is still in extreme poverty. And the only way, we said before, we can get people out of poverty is to provide them energy. Even though life expectancy has grown dramatically in most of the world, there are still areas of Africa that have life expectancy less than 50 years. That's 20 to 5 years lower than the rest of the world. And then lastly, let's not forget about world population. By 2050, there will be 25% more people on this earth, 2 billion more people. And as we know, population drives energy needs. So we need more energy. So what is that energy going to look like? Let me show you this chart again. Now what I'm going to do is add on the next 50 years, or excuse me, 40 years. So this is projections by, there are a whole host of projections out there on what this might look like. This is what Scott Tinker proposes based on what he's seen policies. It looks very much like the IEA STEPS policy. Notice coal and oil, still a big part of the mix. They decline for sure, but they are still a tremendous part of the energy mix. Most of that decline comes from replacing coal. Next is natural gas and nuclear. Tremendous growth in natural gas and in nuclear in order to meet our energy needs. Notice that if you look at this, just this part of the chart, what we see is starting in the next few years, we will level out our usage of fossil fuels, okay? But it will stay constant through the course of the next 30 or 40, 50 years. So what gets layered on top of that? Because we need more energy. We know the world needs more energy, like we talked about before, and that's where the renewables come into play. So the renewables have enjoyed tremendous growth, and that growth then drives the energy mix or the energy diversification. And just to show you how this diversification looks, if we put this on a 100% scale and look at the energy mix, so the percentages, you can see that we go from today at being about 60% coal and oil, 30% natural gas and nuclear and 15% renewables to about 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. Remember I said before, the world needs a diverse energy mix, and this is where we're headed. Now, I want to just talk a little bit about these fossil fuels here, okay? The natural gas and the oil. Notice, as I said before, this is going to be held pretty flat on the amount of oil and natural gas is going to be needed. So what does that mean? Why is that important? Well, this is some work that ExxonMobil put out late last year in their Climate Solutions report. And I want to draw your attention to the light blue. So these are oil and natural gas supply estimate needs. And the light blue represents what happens if we stop investing in technology and stop investing in our industry. As we all know, oil and natural gas wells will decline in production. So we always need to be developing new technologies. The dark blue represents a large number of different scenarios that could happen with needs for oil and natural gas. The top one is the IEA STEPS demand. The bottom red represents the net zero by 2050. So we are going to land somewhere in there. Where we're going to land, we don't know. But in any case, all scenarios say we have to be able to supply additional oil and natural gas to meet the world's energy needs, even in the middle of an energy transition or diversification. So like I said, this is the opportunity for our industry. Our industry needs to provide the accessible, affordable, reliable, and green and decarbonized. So how are we going to do that? So I think it's really important to understand as you enter our profession that whatever your interest is, there is a place for you. We need to maximize oil and gas recovery, as I just showed you. So if you would like petroleum engineering and that's your interest, then there is a place for you in our industry. But we also, as an industry, need to decarbonize our operations. And we're doing that by reducing our scope 1 and 2 emissions, flaring, methane emissions, things like that. So that's also being worked by people in our industry. And if that's what you'd like to do, then you have the ability to do that. As I was mentioned by Laura, and Henricus, we have carbon capture, utilization, and storage. This is going to be probably one of the most critical pieces of moving forward with the energy transition, and that is CCUS. We have to capture carbon, and we have to dispose of it. That requires geologists and geophysics. It requires reservoir engineers, facilities engineers. It requires completions engineers because in many cases, we're going to recomplete old wells to use as storage wells. We also have geothermal. So again, we need drilling and completions expertise. All of these are going to come from people like yourselves that are in our industry. So whether you want to help the world with maximizing oil and gas, greening up the world and decarbonizing, or pulling carbon out with carbon capture geothermal, all of that will be solved by people like yourselves that are being educated and entering into our oil and gas industry. So I just want to show you what's been done in the last 20 years to show you that there is a tremendous amount of work and what technology has done. Again, oil and gas production have grown dramatically over the last 20 years, but look at what else has happened. And this has happened because of people like yourselves who have got to work developing technologies. Our oil and gas reserves have increased by 30% or a third, okay? That's all because of technology. At the same time, we've also, this is just a few headlines from the last few months out of JPT, but we have continued to look at decarbonizing our operations, whether it's been converting our frac fleets to electricity or electrifying our offshore oil and gas, or reducing flaring, or capturing methane, or Oxy's direct air capture project in the middle of the Permian Basin. All of these are critical to our climate and are critical for us to move the world forward, both supplying energy, but also decarbonizing it. So let me talk a little bit about how you can then create your energy future. So first and foremost, you're going to have to stay current in your field. Okay, technologies are always changing and ever changing, and so you need to stay abreast of what's going on and continue to learn. You also need to collaborate and network with your peers, both inside and outside of our industry, because that's how we also learn, and that's also how we develop best practices. So of course, as you guessed, how we do that is through SPE, okay? So SPE has a mission. I'm not going to read the mission, but I'm going to highlight a few things in this mission. The mission is to connect a global community of engineers so that we can exchange knowledge, advance our technical profession in oil and gas and related energy resources so that we can achieve a safe and secure energy future. That's our mission. Our mission is driven by our members. How do we connect and exchange? We do that by connecting our over 110,000, almost 120,000 members now, 200 sections, 130 countries. We do that through our events, okay, conferences, workshops, forums, symposium. We do that through our technical papers, the One Petro resource. I know most of you are familiar with One Petro, our journals. We also have a tremendous amount of training, webinars. We have our Energy Stream, which has all of our live videos. We have our resources like SP Connect, where we can ask members thoughts and ideas, and PetroWiki. And then lastly, but probably most importantly, we have our local sections where you can network and collaborate. So a lot of people like to ask me, how have I benefited from SPE? And the first thing I want to tell you is that the way I've benefited will be different than the way you benefit. Everybody gets a little bit something different out of SPE, and it has to be geared towards what you need. But for me, SP has been a technical resource. It's allowed me to access papers and things that I've mentioned to you before, attend events. Second of all, it's allowed me to network, not just locally at my local section, but also globally. It's given me a global view of our industry. The third thing it's done for me is it has helped me with my soft skills. So believe it or not, when I entered industry 40 years ago, I was told by my supervisor that I had very poor presentation skills and I had very poor technical writing. And it's through SPE that I was able to improve that. As I wrote papers, as I made presentations, as I spoke at conferences and sections and things, that helped me develop those skills. Those skills were also developed through my leadership skills. I was running the Dallas section long before I was a manager at Carbo. I was serving on international committees long before I was serving on our board. It also, lastly, for me, has provided a tremendous amount of professional fulfillment. Okay, I want to make sure everyone understands, while we all will strive to be CEO and manager someday, we won't all be that. But we all have the ability to develop our professional skills through something like SPE, which is what I was able to do. So let me leave you with some final thoughts. How can you get the most out of SPE? How can you use SPE to chart your energy future? So the first thing I recommend you do is always be learning. Technologies are changing all the time, and you have to always be learning. You can use SP to learn by reading papers, attending conferences, watching the energy stream, the SP lives, webinars, all those give you the ability to continue to improve your professional outcome. Second of all, participate. The first thing I tell students, the first thing you need to do after you leave university and you go to your company is find the local section. Okay, there's over 200 sections across the world, so there will be a section that you can participate in. Participate in the section, start looking for ways that you can write papers, maybe make presentations at a workshop, begin to participate in your society. Third, as you participate, look for ways to volunteer, okay? You will probably be asked to volunteer, or maybe you need to go out and look for ways. But regardless, look for ways to volunteer, not just at your local section, but potentially at the international. I also want to just point out that you'll probably be hesitant when you first are asked to volunteer for something, because you'll think, am I good enough? Can I do that? But if somebody's asked you to volunteer to do something, then they believe in you. And I think that you will be capable. And if you're not ready, ask for help, and that's how we get better. And then lastly, if you volunteer, I can assure you, you will have the opportunity to lead. Look for opportunities to lead small committees, lead larger committees, lead your section. Look for ways to lead, and then that will help you develop your leadership skills. And before you know it, you'll be probably leading something at your company, and maybe someday you'll be on the SP board or something like that. The world is your possibility, and you can accomplish that through your work and your involvement in SPE through learning, participation, volunteering, and leading. So let me just give you my closing slide. I've stolen my tagline is Egbert Amomo. He said this to me many years ago when he was president, but he talked about how we are SPE, SP is all of us. And what he meant by that is SP is not this thing, it's not this other thing. SP is all of its members. It's you, it's me. And so the more you put into your membership, the more you'll get out of it. If you think of SPE like your gym membership, I think everybody understands what I mean by a gym membership. You go to a gym or you exercise for your physical well-being. Your goal is to improve your health and improve your day-to-day life. Well, think of SP as fulfilling your professional development. How do you meet your professional needs? And SP can do that. And everybody's going to get something different out of SP, but I can assure you that you will only get something out of SP if you put something into it. So I encourage you to put your efforts into SP like you do in your exercise, and that will chart your energy future. So with that, I think I will close. And I don't know how you want to work the Q&A, but I am looking forward to your questions, and I hope that this was helpful to you. And thank you very much for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you so much, Mr. Terry. We really enjoyed your presentation. I learned a lot. I also totally agree with you on the fact that we have to learn, participate, volunteer, and lead. That's a very good process to follow when it comes to SPE.
Thank you.
Okay, so we've just heard from our esteemed speaker who shared their valuable insights on the topic with us. Now it's time to move on to the question and answer session. This is your chance to ask any question you have about the topic and clarify any doubts you may have for 10 minutes. Those who want to ask may raise their hands. We will take as many questions as time permits.
Okay, so if you have a question, you can raise up your hands now, and then we would ask Mr. Terry. Okay, I see one hand is up.
Yes, it's mine.
Go on, please.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Terry. I enjoy your presentation, and I agree with many things that you said, especially since that I come from a country in development, so it's not the same approach for the energy transition as you mentioned. But I would like to ask you, how do you see the evolution of the SPE according to the energy transition? Like right now, it's Society of Petroleum Engineers. In the future, can we see a Society of Energy Engineers, for example? What do you think of that?
All right, so you asked me the hardest question first. Let me start with the first part of the question, and then I'll see if I can answer the second one. So first of all, SPE, as far as the energy transition goes, if we want to call it that, SPE has continued to evolve. So we have our technical sections, and we have just added a methane emissions technical section. We've added a geothermal technical section. We've added a hydrogen. And all of these are meant to help our members collaborate in those specific fields. And so that's one avenue. So we again, if you think of SP as providing a platform or facilitating the ability to discuss these important issues, we also collaborate with other societies and other entities. So for example, we collaborate with Geothermal Rising, and we're putting on a geothermal workshop here later this year. And we will continue to do that as much as we possibly can in collaboration. Regarding the name of SPE, of course, this is the hard question. And we have to be careful here. I have to be careful here in talking about what I think versus what the SPE thinks at this point. But let me just say this. This has been a thought that has been discussed at many times at the board level about our name. I can tell you right now that I don't think our members, remember, we are member driven, and we have to do our best to try to represent all of our members if we possibly can. And when we went through the strategic plan recently, we found, of course, that we have a very diverse set of membership. I don't think our members are ready for a name change. I think there are some members who would like to have a name change, and I think there are some members who say there is no way we should have a name change, and we have a lot of people in the middle. I don't think we're ready for that. So will that happen in the future? I can't answer that question. I can't answer that question. I will tell you that we do have a logo, and we have a trademark on the Society of Professionals in Energy. That doesn't mean we are going to turn into that, but we do have that ability. And before COVID, we actually held a few events branded under Society of Professionals in Energy for those areas that needed to do that. It's something we've talked about trying to reestablish again, but please, when you hear me say that, I want to make sure you understand that I am not suggesting we're going to change the name to that as a global entity. I'm just telling you that that is something that is available for use if people want to use it. But that's a long answer to a short question. We're not ready for it. Will it happen in the future? I don't know. But I can probably tell you it's not going to happen within the next few years. I hope
Thanks a lot. Yeah, for sure. Thanks a lot.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Terry, for the answer. Moving on to the next questioner, we have from UK student chapter. You may unmute yourself. For Abdul, sorry.
Thank you for your presentation, sir. My question is coming from Africa, Nigeria precisely. Amongst the opportunities which one is more suitable for, like the CCUS, the decarbonization? Which of them?
I'm sorry, you were asking me which is most suitable for what?
For someone coming from Africa.
Well, I believe Africa, and again, Africa is a big continent, right? So there's different areas of Africa, but in many areas of Africa, I think what you need is just access to energy. You need propane or electricity. I've seen what it does for villages and places when you get access to. So I mean, that's the first order of business, is to get some energy, so that once you get energy, then you can work on the rest of it. I think that delivering the energy in a clean and decarbonized way, I think our industry is getting much better. So just in the extraction process, I think it's important for us to maybe look at ways to be more clean as we extract the energy. So for example, electrifying our drilling rigs or electrifying our frac fleets or things like that. Or using renewables in order to supply energy to the energy extraction. But I think the energy extraction is the most important thing that you have facing you. Once the next step, of course, once you have the access to energy and you are lifting yourselves out of energy poverty, then you have the ability to start thinking about, okay, so what do we do? Can we capture carbon? Are there other ways to take the next step? But I think we need to walk before we run. I certainly hope that I answered your question and that I understood it correctly.
Yeah, you have, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, I see Nabil from UKMO. Nabil, you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hello, everyone. I'm Nabil, a student at University of Qasdi Mirbah Wergla from Algeria. My question is, how can a developing country be part of the energy transition movement? How can a country into development be part of the energy transition?
Well, I guess, as I kind of mentioned before, your first order of business is access to the energy, whatever that energy source is. Now, you may or may not have a choice in what the energy mix is, because it's going to come down to what resources you have available to your country and things like that. But if you're given the opportunity to choose between, let's say, natural gas and coal, natural gas is going to be cleaner than coal. So development of natural gas might be a way to participate in the energy transition, because you've replaced coal-fired with natural gas. It also might mean, like I said before, electrifying your energy extraction process. So let's suppose your coal is what you need. Let's use electricity in order to develop or to recover the coal, or natural gas, or drill the wells, or frack, or things like that. So there's ways to decarbonize the operation. So in other words, you reduce your carbon footprint of the extraction process. Of course, there's also, as I said, the ability to capture the carbon out of the air. But those all require technology. Those all require money, of course. So in order to do that, you need to have get out of energy poverty first, and then once you're out of that, then, like I said before, then you can work on the environmental side of things. But I think that one of the things, if you were to look back 20 or 30 years at our operations, let's just look at the oil and gas operation, and you look at how much more efficient we are, look at how much more decarbonized our operation is, it's a dramatic difference. And by the way, we are not done. There is a lot of work to be done. I mean, we still flare way too much gas. We still have way too much methane that's being emitted in our operations. And those are things that we are all working on. So that's another thing that could be worked on in order to, all these things help us help our climate and our environment.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the information.
You're welcome.
Okay, I think due to limited time, for the next questioner will be the last questioner. For Abdul, you may unmute yourself and ask your question.
I don't hear anything.
Hello, Abdul, if you're speaking, we cannot hear you. We cannot hear you if you're speaking. we still cannot hear you.
Is it possible to put it in the chat?
Yes, maybe you can just quickly put it in the chat. Because
And someone will have to read it out of the chat to me because I can't see the chat.
no problem.
I'm sorry for the moderators. I think that there's another raised hand. Maybe we can answer that question until we receive the other one.
Okay. That's okay. From Winnie, do you want to go ahead and ask your question? Well, we haven't also received. Winnie, you can go ahead and ask your question from Makerere University.
Good evening, everyone. This is Atukonza Winnie from Makerere University. I would like to know about the oil and gas. What best can a mechanical engineer do in that sector? Thank you so much.
Sure. So I think I understand your question is from the oil and gas sector, what can a mechanical engineer do? Well, let me talk first of all about the most direct thing a mechanical engineer can do, and that is to work on either our facilities, our extraction facilities, production facilities. They require electrical, mechanical, civil, and then chemical. There's also in our industry, I would say, in the service side. So whether it's drilling rigs or equipment or bits or frac pumps or all the equipment supply, they probably employ mechanical engineers more than any other discipline, engineering discipline, excuse me. But then I guess I also wanted to just leave you with, we also, as an industry, while we would prefer to hire and train up petroleum engineers, there are mechanical engineers who enter our industry and we turn them into petroleum engineers. It takes some retraining, but that's also possible as well. So I would say supply, equipment, service side, I would say facilities engineering, and then potentially petroleum engineering. Those would be the three main areas where a mechanical engineer can participate.
All right, thank you, Mr. Terry. There are many more questions, but we do not have sufficient time to take all. I apologize to all participants. I see a couple of questions coming on in the chat box, but we'll have to move on. We are really sorry for that.
So can I say something? If my email is at the bottom of that slide, and I would be happy to answer questions if you want to email me questions. More than happy.
Okay, perfect. All right, thank you so much, Mr. Terry. Before we move on to the next session, we have a little token of appreciation for you, Mr. Terry. You can turn off your screen now.
Yeah, I'm trying to get to that. Stop share. There we go.
Okay. So now we would do a little memento giving. I would ask the operator to please quickly take a photo of this session. So, Mr. Terry, thank you so much for participating in this year's Student Chapter Development Workshop. We are really, really glad to have you here. It's been a great pleasure listening to you and then even getting you to answer questions from our participants. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you.
So it's been my pleasure. And again, I want to congratulate the organizers for putting on a wonderful program. But I also want to congratulate everybody who's participated, because this is how you will continue to improve your energy future. And I hope that sometime over the next 3 years, I'll have the chance to meet you in person at your university or at your chapters. And I wish you all the best in your careers, but also in your conference. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much.
Okay, for the next session, it will be continued in the breakout rooms. In the breakout room session, you will present your topics and exchange thoughts and opinions, and for sure you will get a lot of benefits, such as fresh insights and deepening relationships with student chapters around the world. So without any further ado, attendees are expected to join their respective breakout rooms as already distributed.
So I was saying something. Here's a list of breakout rooms. Please choose the one you are to go to based on the topic you have chosen. Remember, when you were applying, when you were registering for this event, you chose a specific topic that you'd like to present on. So you can just quickly go to the breakout room and you'd see a little icon on your Zoom chats, breakout rooms. You can just go there and then go to the breakout room session that you've chosen. So we give 1 minute for everyone to quickly move on to their breakout rooms.
Yeah, you can assign yourself to your respective breakout rooms, guys.
Yeah, they're moving.
You can next the slide, Sunny. Okay, so before we start, let me read the general rules. So the first one, participants will be muted during the presentations. Second, it is highly recommended to always turn on your camera. And the third is have fun and participate actively. Next.
For the breakout room session, our outline rundown will be first, presentation about the topic that has been chosen from each student chapter for 10 minutes each max. Next, we will continue with the Q&A session for about 10 minutes. After that, we will go back to the main room for the next agenda.
Okay, so without waiting any longer, we will start the presentation session.
Okay, so for the first one, we will invite SP University of Bahrain SG from Middle East region to present their presentation.
So to SP University of Bahrain SC, the time is yours.
Hi, everyone. How are you doing? I'm Ali. I'm the president of University of Bahrain Student Chapter. And today we're gonna presenting a short presentation. Can you please share the slides, or do you want me to do it from my side? So is it cool if I share my? Okay. Or do you have the slides?
Maybe you can present it by yourself.
I'm sorry. I think it's. Can you wait a bit? Because I think my friend will present your presentation for a while.
Yeah, can you give me access? I mean, control, please. Or do you wanna just flip this?
I'm sorry, Sanya. I think can you start with the first slide first?
This is the first slide.
Is it okay if I have access? I mean, control.
I have the access to slide to slide the presentation.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So good afternoon, everyone, and good evening to you in Indonesia, and good morning to the North America. Today we're gonna talk about the energy transition and how can us as students participate in it. We're gonna start with different aspects like the technology that can be used and how the implementation can be in the industrial level, and also on a personal level, like as a person, how can we take participation in this? So I don't need to explain, the pictures speak for itself. As you can see, some of the effects of our usage of energy and fossil fuels, like climate change, global warming, and all of the disasters happening in the world. So it all starts with you to make a change, and we
for SP Mehran, you may start your presentation.
Yes,
okay.
So it hasn't shared screen. Let me confirm.
Yes, I can see your screen.
Okay, thank you, sir. Sorry for inconvenience.
Okay, it's okay.
Assalamualaikum. Here's Mujahid Ali, President of SP Mute as a sir. Actually, our chapter is combining in the Mute as a campus, and we have received 2 awards. We have as well as been organized as a gold standard chapter in 2014. Wait a second. Okay, our today's topic is to jump into oil and gas competition. So welcome into the world of oil and gas competitions. Today I'm here being a president of SP chapter, which have given me chance that we will explore the steps and strategies to help successfully to participate in these competitions and make the most of the experience. So we have as steps that first we have done our research and identify research in various oil and gas competitions which are available to us and understand the competitions format, that what is going on, what is the need of the industries.
So thank you very much to the moderators. So can you guys share the screen? So thank you very much to the moderators and a very good evening, everyone. So the topic of our discussion today is basically the strategies utilized by SPEs. So to be specific, it's going to be Society of Petroleum Engineers, University Technology Malaysia Student Chapter, SPUTM-SC, as how are we going to improve our branding, which includes the social media and branding strategies. So next slide, please. Am I lagging?
You were lagging, but now it's fine, I think.
Yeah, okay. So, okay, firstly, what is our approach of SPETMSC approach to brand and market ourselves? So firstly is to develop a consistent visual content. So what this means is that to choose a color scheme that is suitable and suitable fonts that align with our organization, values, and mission. As for Society of Petroleum Engineers, SPE, it is known that blue-white is our theme. But why limit ourselves with only 2 colors? As for SPE UTM-SC, besides blue-white, black gold, black white has been a state.
We made density and porosity experiments, and how they work. Also, they receive some rewards. Next, please. And in our environmental care activities, in this activity, we encourage some students from the school around the city to collect cups and plastic bottles. Next, please. We collect cups and plastic bottles, and this collection was given to a company that has an agreement to help the hospital with the treatment of children with cancer. Next, please. And here we gave some student, to some student some gift like soccer balls. Next. And finally, the last but not least, we have the speakers activities, and these activities took place a few days before Christmas. Next page, please. And we collect toys at the university.
Now that we already do introduction from each individual, we now go to the presentations. Okay, so for the first one, I think Akwo, you do the presentation orally, right? Are you ready now?
Oh, okay. Can I be the second person for the presentation?
Oh, sorry?
Okay, do I have any other presenter with me as well? Are you hearing me? Are you hearing me? Are you hearing me clear? Are you hearing me?
Oh, okay. You want to be the second? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So for the first one.
Okay, great. We can see your screen. You can quickly present. Please try to keep it within 5 minutes so that others can also speak as well. Thank you.
All right, good day, everyone. Once again, good day once again. My name is Tejud Mark, and I'm presenting on behalf of Bayero University Kano SPE chapter on the impact of SPE mentorship. Can you all hear me?
Loud and clear.
Now, who is the mentor? We all know that a mentor is someone who is really experienced in their field of study or in their field of professional endeavors, and who are always willing to assist those who want to learn from their wealth of experiences. What is mentorship? Mentorship is simply the guidance that are being provided by a mentor to a mentee, right? And a mentee is someone who is willing to pick up these experiences from someone who is already actually having practical experiences of what is happening in the industry. Now, we've known that the importance of SPE mentorship. Now, this mentorship helps the mentee to gain practical experiences and insight about what are going on in the oil and gas industry. That is what we're focusing on here. And SPE mentorship helps the mentee to have first-hand knowledge, even though they have not been in the industry, they have not worked in the industry, they have not participated or carried out any tasks on their own. But this mentorship alone will provide them with platform to know what is actually going on in the industry, the trends and everything. And the membership encourages the mentee, and all this put together will let us know that mentorship is very, very, very important, most especially for an industry like the oil and gas industry, where knowledge transfer is
engineers, you have opportunities to network with senior engineers. Now, in that process now, there is that possibility of exchanging of contact, because from my own region, most of the job opportunities that are being available, some of them are not advertised. They do what they call internal employment. Now, you need to have someone within the establishment or the industry to actually inform you that, okay, there will be an opening, or there is an opening, or there is this training ongoing. So SP provides you now for the process of transition from the student to young professional. Now SP provides you with the networking. Now attend conferences, you attend workshops, you attend events, you exchange contact with people you meet. Now, in the process of exchanging this contact, now you have access to information that you wouldn't have had access to ordinarily. So I think I have 5 minutes to speak. So when you're talking about transition, I think networking should be a major thing to consider. I think I've exhausted my 5 minutes. Thank you very much.
Well, okay, from the Wonder Consultant. So next we presentation from the other SP. So want the presentation?
Maybe from ITS.
Okay.
So time is yours.
Okay. Can I share screen? Wait for a moment.
Do you want to share screen from your device or you want?
Yeah.
Okay.
If the committee can share the screen, maybe.
Oh yeah. Maybe you can send the file to us. Okay. Thank you. You guys can see the presentations?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can see it clearly.
Yeah, sorry. Okay. Maybe I'll start. Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Budi. I'm currently the Director of Professionalism and from SP 10 November Institute of Technology. On behalf of the President of SP ISSC, I would like to say thank you for this opportunity to meet you all in this platform. Maybe next. Okay. First of all, I want to give a little bit about our organization background. Okay. Okay. Okay, this is the core values of our organization: people and sustainability, professional competence, and integrity growth. This value are the foundation of our organization to accelerate student to professional conversion. Okay, next, our vision and mission. Okay, can see our vision and mission, and then maybe a little background. Next. This is our organization awards and recognition. Were established in 2011. SPEs have held the Asia Pacific SPSC conference in 2016 and 17, and we achieved SPE Outstanding Awards for 2 years and Excellence for 6 years. Next. Next. Okay. This is our organization chart. On the top, we have the board of executive, and with our faculty advisor, and this organization consists of 6 departments and 1 big event, Petrolida. Maybe next. Okay, there is 15 division, and we have a total boards of committee of 93 people, and 48% of them are women. Okay. Next.
So this is the flow of SPE-SSC development programs for young professionals. In the first one, we have Department of Academia will provide the technical skills for delegates. Continue with the Department of Professionalism, providing the non-technical skills. And then to implement it, Department of Competency Development will provide the training and patrolling. It is one of SPE-SSC internal event in competition to prepare for the real competition. Next.
Okay, so for the Department of Professionalism, SPE-SSC are here to facilitating and guiding members, also officers in non-technical professional development. Department of Professionalism consists of 2 divisions, which is soft skill and cognitive, that have 4 topic programs that we focus on. First of all, one-on-one mentoring with professionals, soft skills and career development program, building interaction and networking among professionals, and also giving an early exposure to energy companies. Next.
So this is one of the Department of Professionalism's program, which is Spectra. This is a series of events that contains the bootcamp activities along with the mentoring activities. This series of online event featuring the industry's expert who will share their insight and strategies on career preparation, which form into a bootcamp and a mentoring series. Okay, next.
And then this is our soft skill and career development program. Soft skills are crucial for career life and also as being student. We already held 2 soft skill course and also 1 Dare to Discover that aim to provide a platform for students to develop their soft skill regarding current in-demand skills. The first, our event is Dare to Discover that we collab with Lamberdy. And then the second one, the soft skill course 1.0, it's about emphasize raising participant knowledge of the value of having adaptable skills in the workplace. And the second soft skill course 2.0 will focus on increasing your awareness of the importance of having negotiation skills in your future career life. Next. And this is for the building interaction and networking among young professionals. We held an event called Fueling Your Future. We make this event because of the professional industry has achieved decades-long strong demand and high profit. Many university graduates are interested in joining companies because of the potential employment opportunities, but sometimes mistaken for choosing the best role regarding their major. The objective of Fueling Your Future is to creating awareness by giving them a knowledge about all ITAS major relevancy in oil and gas needed in the career life for SPE. Next. And this is the biggest event from professional department. This is Inspect or Integrated SP Company Visit is held by the Company Visit Division. The purpose is to provide our board and members early exposure to the energy industry by engaging with professionals and also energy companies. Company Visit that held this year by SP that SP already complete all the oil and gas business. The first one for the downstream, we held a company visit to Pertamina refinery unit, but in Cilacap. And then the second one for the midstream, we held a community visit to Lamongan Shore Base in collaboration with Pertamina also. And then the third one for the upstream, last week we held a community visit to ExxonMobil Cepu Limited. And then the last one, we also held a community visit to Geodipa Energy Dieng for the renewable energy sector. Next.
Begini. Okay, we are moving on to academia. Department of Academia is a platform to give knowledge for member and committees of SPTSSC to gain an insight about oil and gas industry. Department of Academia is consists of Science Course Division and Learning Division. This is an overview from the work program in this department. Next. Okay, we have done 3 events in this. Sorry. Previous slide. Okay, we have done 3 events in this. In the first picture is science course about introduction to oil and gas with collaboration with soft skill division and membership division. The second is upstream series with Kangen Energy. The event is consists of 2 topics. First, exploration in oil and gas industry, and then the drilling in oil and gas industry. And the next is Science Course 3.0 is basically discuss about production in oil and gas. Next slide, please. Yeah, in this slide is Speak Up. Speak Up is virtual event coordinated by SPTSSC in collaboration with SPUTMSE and SPPSUSE. Speak Up is held on Grantham, which is increasing oil and gas production with EOR or EGR. Also, Speak Up also consists of 2 main parts. It is guest lecture and competition that held by competition department. Next slide, please. Okay, next slide is work program of e-learning division. First picture is Petro Knowledge. Petro Knowledge is knowledge focus in energy industry that are posted in SPTSSE social media. And then Petro Quiz. Actually, this is the quiz for member and posted in SPTSSE Instagram and also added in Science Course event. Next is SP Knowledge Book containing summary explanation for each topic in the curriculum in the form of a book. Next.
Okay, so next, competency development are the department that focus on improving member competency for their professional career around oil and gas industries by implement it on competition. This could be achieved using related programs such as oil and gas competition introduction, delegates training and coaching with professional, and the internal competition event is Petrolic. Next. Okay, so this is the introduction of to oil and gas competition. Next. And the second one is delegates training and coaching. This is the picture. Next, please. And this, the last one, our internal competition event is Petrolic. Next. And our big event, Petrolida, that being related to the Petrolic. Next, please.
Okay, so becoming an officer may have more advantage for such as direct networking with professionals and networking even with other SP chapter like today's event. And there's also three other department that helps our organization to achieve student to professional conversion. Okay, next. Okay, this is this year achievement. Okay, maybe next. Okay, and this is where our alumni of SBTS. Okay, next. And our expectation that members are prepared with a comprehensive knowledge and skill set to transform into a young professional in the energy industry. And members will gain, will gain network and exposure to the energy industry. Okay, that's all from us. Thank you.
Well, okay. Thank you so much from SPE SSC. So for the next presentation, want to present
Maybe from SPE Mall, Kares, do you want to present or talk about something related to this topic?
Hi, I'm sorry to say, but our spokesperson is not here today. So I think we will skip this one.
Okay.
Sorry again.
Maybe like we want to know like your point of view as you said that you're a vice president, correct me if I'm wrong, in your student chapter. Maybe like you already saw PTS student chapter presentations, right? Is it any different from your student chapter? Or like, do you want to say something or like telling you your student chapter?
So it's basically we have been active since a few years. I have been personally in Leoben since 2018, and we have had several events, company presentations, and field trips. We have helped the students to secure like internships or thesis projects and so on. In the past 2 years, I have been a bit more involved in the SPE. And since then, we have had many field trips. I would say students have been like introduced to different projects from the companies. We have OMV and RAC are heavily working in the region. Other than that, we have also hosted many events, fun events, let's say, like oil barbecue parties and some, just parties to have the students know more about our activities and register more students into the SPE.
Oh, okay. It's so great. Having like a barbecue party. Sounds so fun.
Yeah, we call it oil barbecue. It's really fun.
Okay.
Okay, we don't drink crude oil in in the barbecue party, but it's just the name.
Okay. So I think that's all. Like due to the limited time, this breakout session has to end. So thank you so much, guys, for the participations. I hope you can enjoy the rest of the agenda in the main room session.
Okay, welcome back, honorable guests. We're pleased to have you back in the main room session. First, I want to say sorry because we closed the breakout room session because due to limited time, and we have to move on to the next agenda. We are sure and really hope that all of the attendees had fun and got more knowledge and insights in the breakout room beforehand.
All right, so everyone, the next thing that we would do, can everyone hear me and can you see me? All right, so the next thing that we're going to do now is to move on to the next session where we'll have like just a 5 minutes break. This is basically for safety reasons. We would advise you that you stand up, take a little walk, don't look at your screen anymore, look away at an object or something that is further so that you can at least free your eyes off your screen or your phone. So we'll start the 5 minutes break immediately. I'll see you guys in 5 minutes. Another thing to keep in mind is after the break, we will start the next session. Another very interesting speaker will come on and we would have the games at the end of all of that. The games is based on the questions. The questions of the games will be based on what we learned from the second session and from the first session. So please stay tuned. The winners will get a total package of 50 euros. So please don't miss it. You can start the break now.
Okay. Welcome back, everyone. Hope you enjoyed the break. Moving right along, we have another special guest, Dr. Rita Asru Okurafor. So Dr. Rita is an assistant professor at Texas A&M University and a seasoned petrotechnical expert who will discuss the topic of the petroleum engineer and the energy transition.
So Dr. Rita herself, she had a postdoctoral scholarship from Stanford University. She was a principal reservoir engineer at Schlumberger prior to that. Research cuts across geothermal energy, CCUS, hydrogen storage, which are some of the areas that many of us are currently thinking of transitioning into. She has won several awards from SPE, including the Africa Region Reservoir Dynamics and Description Awards in 2017. She has also won, I think, about she has won the International Young Member Outstanding Service Award in 2016, and she won another one in the past as well. Personally, I know Dr. Rita from afar, let me put it that way. I've never met with her physically, but she has also helped me in the past. I met her through an event such as this. It was just, I never knew her, like I said. What happened was we're having a meeting like this, an online virtual event. I saw her online. I loved the work that she presented, and then I reached out to her and I did a research, and she was able to provide very, very important tips for me on how to do it. Believe me when I say she's more than qualified to give us practical steps as engineers seeking to transition. So please welcome our dear speaker, Dr. Rita. Dr. Rita, please, the floor is yours. You may unmute your mic now.
All right, thank you everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm going to share my slides in a few minutes. I've been with you all since the start of this program, and believe me, what you've heard so far from Terry is very valuable. So I myself, I was inspired. So I can't imagine for you. So let me share my screen in a brief minute, okay? So what I want us to do today, I'm going to talk a bit about the petroleum engineer and the energy transition. I like that Terry said we should call it things like evolution or diversification. Some of the slides here shared, I had them, so I will skip quickly through those ones. If anybody didn't listen to his, I will just touch on those very quickly. But I also want to give opportunity for you to ask your questions very openly and candidly, because many of us have these questions about what are we still doing as petroleum engineers when there's this energy transition looming over us, okay? So I have been introduced. Feel free to call me Rita. My students call me Dr. Rita because I know my surname is not very easy to pronounce. I'll be talking about the petroleum engineer and the energy transition, but I also want you to know that even if you are a geoscientist, most of these things are still applicable. I will be talking in 5 different sessions. I will just lay a background very quickly, but I feel Terry has done justice to that background. And then I will talk about the E&P, the exploration and production value chain as we know it, and the related skills we see in this E&P value chain. And I will talk about the different value chains in this energy transition space. Key ones, geothermal, solar, wind, things like that. And then I'll talk about skills transfer so that you know how relevant you are in the energy transition. And then I'll summarize, okay? So we saw a slide like this from Terry earlier today. And what this slide just tries to highlight is that energy, as we have been using it, is evolving. We have a long history of the need for energy resources. So as the demand is also growing, specific energy resources like the traditional biomass, which was wood, you know, when we say firewood, is not able to meet our energy demand. And so we have been transitioning or moving into other ways that can help to meet the demand. And so we can see the growth in demand and utilization, but we can also see that the different components, the different sources are increasing or changing with time. What this means for us is that moving forward, we can anticipate to see a change in the percentage or the contributions of different sources of energy. And another thing that Terry highlighted was we're trying to solve an energy trilemma. We're trying to solve affordability and accessibility. We're trying to solve energy security, but at the same time, we're trying to solve the issue of pollution and impact on the environment. And so in all of this, we need different sources to be able to meet the demand of energy. So we will continue to see this evolution of energy sources as time progresses. One other thing that we see is that mostly traditional fossil fuels may drop, things like coal may drop. I don't want to say will for sure because nobody knows the future. And then we'll see some growth in non-renewables, but at the same time, the energy demand is still increasing and we will still see the role of things like oil, natural gas in the energy mix. Now, a big thing that has been going on is why are we trying to evolve from the traditional fossil fuels? And it's because the fossil fuels have been associated with anthropogenic greenhouse gas emissions. So because of that, we are thinking of how can we reduce these greenhouse gas emissions. So on this slide, what I show are different ways in which we decarbonize, which is a broad word for saying how we reduce greenhouse gas emissions with specific focus or more focus on what we call CO2, but it's not only CO2. So there are methane emissions, etc. But decarbonization is just that word that currently blankets all of this. So what we try to do is energy conservation and efficiency is one of the ways. And what we just try to do here is if you're using less energy or you're using energy more efficiently, then you are going to be releasing less greenhouse gas emissions into the atmosphere. Then we consider things like reducing our emissions from natural gas fugitives, venting and flaring. So that's all about the methane reduction and gas flaring reduction. Another source of greenhouse gas emissions, CO2, is deforestation. And for us to be able to overcome the impact of deforestation, we need to grow back more trees. We need to improve our grazing management. And so that's changes in land use. Now, we know that most of the processes that industrial processes release CO2 emissions. When a power plant is the process of producing energy from a power plant releases CO2 emissions. We also know that if we want to create things like hydrogen, emissions are released. We have to think of how do we capture these emissions. And when we capture them, we can't put them back into the atmosphere. So we have to find ways of storing it. So this is where carbon capture, utilization, and storage comes in. And then we think about switching to other fuels that do not have high carbon intensity. And that's where we have things like renewable energy. We have things like, so renewable energy, that's solar, wind, hydro, geothermal, all of these come in, and to some extent, biomass, depending on the kind of biomass we're dealing with. And we think of electrification. So if you have a car that is using diesel and you move to an electric vehicle, you're going to be reducing the carbon intensity, as well as hydrogen as a fuel, both for processes and for electricity generation. So these are areas where I'll be focusing on in my talk, the CCUS, carbon capture, utilization, and storage, and the fuel switching. So let's look at the EMP value chain as we know it. So when we talk about the EMP value chain, we're starting from the point of exploration and production and everything that is involved until we get our product to the final consumers. And so in the upstream sector, we have the exploration, the development and production, which many of us in the petroleum engineering industry are very much abreast with. And then we have the midstream, when we have gotten our petroleum or natural gas to the surface, we need to move it from the point from where it is generated to where it's going to be used through pipelines, through ships, etc. And it also goes through the process. We have to process this fluid to make it suitable for transportation and final utilization. And then when it goes beyond the midstream, we have the downstream, which is where we have the refining, the processing, blending, where we extract value out of this crude oil or natural gas that we're producing. And then we finally go into the process of marketing and distribution. So the reason why I'm bringing this value chain here is because we're going to see similar things as we move to different aspects of pathways for decarbonization. Now, what kind of skills do we need in the oil and gas industry? So we have our traditional technical skills. Many of you are in the geosciences, you do drilling, reservoir, petrophysics, completion, production, project facilities, but we don't have only technical skills. We also need those non-core. I call them non-core because they are technical in their own side. So a lawyer is a technical lawyer on his own side, but when we are looking at the oil and gas industry, it's not a core technical skill. So we have things like project management, we have instrumentation, we have the HSEs, we have finance, we have supply chain, IT, so human resources. So all of these are also skills that are in the oil and gas industry that helps the whole process to flow and work better. Okay. So now when we go to different aspects of project development for energy resources, there are different stages. And what I put here is the oil and gas production project development. We see that we start with getting the land. We need to lead the land, but either surface or subsurface, depending on what the kind of rights are. Then we go through exploration, which is the geophysical exploration before we go into things like drilling. And in all of this, there are certain things that are involved. We need to prepare lease sales. We need to say notice of intent. We need to get permits, which allows us to go ahead to drill. Now, what you will see is that if we have to go into geothermal project development, we see the same kind of stages. When we go into wind and solar project development, we see similar stages. So that means that for an industry that is very good in going through developing oil and gas resources, we should be able to fit into other aspects, even though we may need to upskill or reskill at some point in time. So I'm going to talk about the skills that have been used in different areas. And one of them, let's talk about the solar photovoltaic power plant site selection. So before we site a solar PV plant, we need to be able to choose what's the best site. And there are a lot of factors that are taken into consideration. But some of you as petroleum engineers, you would know that you do economic analysis. And in economic analysis, you're looking at capitals, discount rates, life of the project. You can transfer those skills into site selection because you don't want to put your solar PV site where it's not going to be economical. Similarly, to select a site, you need to look at certain geological factors. Now, it may not be that the petroleum engineer is used to that, but geoscientists, they do this very often. They have very good understanding of the geology, the hydros, the topologies of different sites, and they can contribute significantly to solar PV power plants site selection. When we talk about offshore wind is one of the ways in which we'll be able to generate renewable energy. But in order to do that, we need certain skills. And people who have been drilling offshore have the skills that will enable us to, site, place, and manage offshore wind projects. And so in this particular slide, I list a couple of things. Rig selection and stability, these are things that drilling engineers do a lot. Equipment design to withstand the environment, the wind, the waves, and the current. The same skills are being used for designing floating winds and farms. And in general, when you do the design, the engineering, and the operations, these are things that people who have skills in offshore drilling can come into play. Now, when we talk about the geothermal resource development, very similar skills and processes related to the ERP upstream value chain. We go through exploration. I hope that sounds familiar. You go through appraisal, development, production, and rejuvenation. So this is what we do in the E&P upstream value chain. You have a field, you go and explore, you drill appraisal wells, you identify that there is something, then you go ahead and develop. But we begin to produce, and after some time, maybe production might drop or pressure will drop, and you need to do things to bring back the life of the field, and that's rejuvenation. And we do that in the geothermal resource development value chain. So you can clearly see that your skills in the oil and gas industry, wherever you are, you would find somewhere to fit in the geothermal resource development value chain. Now, one very interesting thing which many people, don't really value is, when I started going into research, I found that things like when we want to develop hydrogen polymer electrolyte membrane fuel cells, we need to understand how flow moves in porous media. And I don't know of any industry that deals with flow in porous media more than the oil and gas industry, because everything that happens in the subsurface with the fluid flowing within the pore spaces is flow in porous media. So for us to understand how the anodes and cathodes and the ions are going to move through the membrane, we need to have understanding of flow in porous media. And if you are someone who is very used to doing that, you can go into research in that space and find what are the best kind of materials that will allow for the best flow of fluid in porous media when you want to develop this polymer electrolyte membrane fuel cells. Another one that is very interesting is the carbon capture, utilization, and storage value chain. Now, this is similar to the downstream value chain, but it also involves some things from the E&P upstream value chain. In the CCUS value chain, we start with identifying where the source of the carbon is. We then go into the capture phase. Once we capture the CO2, we have to compress it because this is a gas and we want it to be easy for transportation, easy for utilization, and easy for injection. And then once we've compressed it and transported it, we think about, do we want to utilize it and store it? And many of the skills, when we want to go into the storage part of things, would involve site screening, site selection, permitting, drilling, and monitoring. Now, I may not have time to go through the details of all of this, but I can tell you that for us to screen, we need to estimate things like capacity. And that is what we do in the oil and gas industry as what is the volume, the estimate of the volume of the oil and gas resource we have in the subsurface. But we don't just call it a resource now. We just want to know, do we have the space to put the CO2? We have to know if we can inject it. And that's like the opposite of production, We want to know what's the pressure. Are we going to exceed fracture pressure? Are we going to be able to keep that fluid with a seal? So, when we talk about trapping and sealing in the oil and gas industry, we have to think about it because we want our CO2 to be trapped and remain below the seal in the subsurface. We have to drill wells. We have to meet regulations for drilling those wells. But when we store the CO2 in the subsurface, we need to know where is it? And that's where things like numerical modeling comes in. We do numerical modeling to understand where the CO2 plume, which is the CO2 gas itself stored in the subsurface, where is it going to? We need to monitor it, and we use things like surface monitoring techniques. We use seismic. We have downhole monitoring tools, pressure, fiber optics, reservoir saturation monitoring tools, and modeling. So all of these things are things that in the oil and gas industry we're very used to working on, and so the skills are very relevant here. This one is the hydrogen value chain, and this is talking about how do we produce hydrogen, because hydrogen itself does not exist freely. And so we get hydrogen from several resources, from renewable energy, natural gas, petroleum and coal, even bioenergy. We find different ways of converting it. We convert it using electricity. We have things what we call steam methane reforming, where we use natural gas to generate hydrogen. And all of this hydrogen eventually goes into use for things like ammonia. It's going to be used for refining and other fuels. Now, if the process in which we are using to generate hydrogen is going to release CO2, which we get mostly from the fossil fuel methods, we can also think of ways of capturing it and storing the CO2. On the other hand, when we get hydrogen, we have to think about storage. So there are different ways of storing it. We can store it in tanks. We can store it in salt caverns. We have pipeline storage for temporary storage. And right now, there's a lot of research going on how we can store hydrogen in porous media. And guess who has the skills on storage in porous media? The people in the oil and gas industry. Those are the ones that's going to tell us there's porosity, there's permeability, there are seals, this is how the saturation will change, etc. I hope those terms are very familiar. And then eventually we're able to take this hydrogen and use for different end uses for electricity generation, transport, etc. So what happened was, as I started looking into the role of petroleum and geoscientists, petroleum engineers and geoscientists in the energy transition, I tried to look at where do our skills fit in. And over here in this chart, we have things like geoscience, formation evaluation, drilling and completions, reservoir engineering, production, surface facilities, and offshore technology. So for each of these different parts of the energy mix or energy transition, or how you want to call it, we have different contributions of our skills. But you can see very clearly that in things like CCUS, underground energy storage, geothermal energy, the petroleum engineering and geoscience skills are very strong. And they come in different degrees. Now, when we're talking about offshore wind energy, maybe that's where you see more of the offshore wind technologies. You may not see most of it in geothermal energy, but the skills fit in different areas. So what I just want you to know is whatever you're learning in schools as a petroleum engineer is going to be very relevant. You may decide, in your master's or PhD, or when you want to go to work, that you want to branch out into something to just complement your skills or, learn something different, but your skills are very transferable. So how can you upskill and reskill depending on where you are? Well, you can go through formal training where you go for advanced degrees, where you can decide if I'm a PhD, if I'm a BSc, I can go for a master's or a PhD. You can take certification programs or short courses. So this helps you to get formal training. They are time consuming, sometimes expensive, but they give you formal training. But they are informal training. There's a vast set of knowledge you can find on YouTube's and on different online resources to help you study, just to find out what exactly is this geothermal energy, what is hydrogen, what is CCUS. There are things you can read about and learn yourself study, but attend technical meetings and workshops. And Terry highlighted it, through SPE, there's the opportunity to learn a lot of this, because many technical sessions are beginning to talk about these concepts in energy transition. And then you can get technical mentorship. Sometimes people want to just know, oh, what's this CCUS? I don't know what it is, but there's somebody who already knows what that thing is. You can meet that person and that person can provide you with resources, guidance, and etc. It may not just be CCUS, it could be any area of the energy transition. Quite recently, we hosted this CCUS 2023 workshop, and we had one-on-one mentorship where students and young professionals were paired with professionals, and they had time to ask questions, to know about all these new things. Just ask questions and be directed to where they can get further resources. So I just want to summarize and say that there are several aspects of the energy mix that will require the oil and gas skills that you have and the domain expertise. The core technical and non-core technical skills are transferable with different degrees of learning. So depending on where you want to go to, you may need a formal training or you just need informal training. What we've seen is that geothermal energy, carbon storage, and underground energy storage. They have high rating for the transferability of the oil and gas skills. And the petroleum and geoscience skills, they cut across several aspects of the energy transition. We see it in solar, wind, critical and rare earth elements, greenhouse gas emissions. So those skills are relevant. On this note, I would say thank you for listening to me. I'm very open to questions. If we're unable to address all the questions within the time frame, feel free to reach out to me on any of my social media platforms or drop me an email here. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rita, for the sharing such valuable insights on the petroleum engineer and the energy transition. I'm sure we have all gained a lot of knowledge and understanding from your presentation. So based on the previous presentation, we can know that oil and gas skills and domain expertise is needed for several aspects of the energy mix, and also core and non-core technical skills are transferable with different degrees of learning. Okay, maybe for Dr. Rita, you may turn off your share screen. All right, thank you so much, Dr. Rita. Now it's time to move on to the question and answer session. This is your chance to ask any question you have about the topic and clarify any doubts you may have for 10 minutes. For those who want to ask, may raise their hands.
I see the hands were already raised before we asked. Yes, I can see from UPPA, Nico, you can unmute and then ask your question and Dr. Rita will answer.
Okay, thank you. Well, first of all, hello, Dr. Rita. Thank you very much for your presentation. My name is Nico Aji, and I'm from the University of Pau student chapter in France. I'm actually a geophysicist, so my question is probably a bit niche. So from your experience and knowledge, do you know if passive seismic actually has a place in the industry that you mentioned in your presentation? Thank you.
Yes, so you know, the geophysicists are very, they are very valuable in this whole energy transition stuff. You know, when we try to delineate where we actually want to do our CCS, carbon storage, hydrogen storage, even in geothermal space, the geophysicists come into play. But then again, once we go into the stage of monitoring seismicity, you know, the issue of induced seismicity or any seismicity that is going on, the geophysicists are needed. So we need to be monitoring at every point in time what's happening. You know, we don't want to create, we don't want to start something in the industry where we get the environmentalists very upset. So the geophysicists are very, very key. Passive seismic measurements are very valuable for monitoring, you know, CCUS, geothermal, hydrogen. In fact, there was a work that I was doing and I was realizing that when we're injecting, we are creating some small kind of earthquakes, just very small. They cannot be really felt. So if we do not monitor those things, they can escalate. And so that's where we need all our passive seismic measurements, okay? To help with that.
Thank you very much. That's very reassuring. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to the next questioner, we have Oleyemi from Yuki. You may unmute your microphone.
Yeah, good evening from this end. Oh, I can be heard.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. My name is Oleyemi Samuel Ogundele from Bayero University, Kano, Nigeria. Thank you, Dr. Rita, for this eye-opening session. I think most of my questions that I listed down here, one way or the other has been touched from your presentation, but I still need some elaboration to some. Okay. My first question here goes thus. I'm a petroleum engineering student now, currently in my finals. So yeah, like going into a higher degree, maybe master's or PhD, like what are the courses that you recommend for someone like me to take in order to synchronize with what is happening in the energy industry that is transitioning? Then secondly, what are the relevant skills that are really relevant skills, technical skills that aid this that is applicable to this energy transition? Because I can see, and which I'm one of them, many people are getting into data scientists. So what is the role of these data sciences or data analytics in energy transition? And thirdly,
Okay, wait,
carbon.
can we do it just a bit slowly? Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So your first question has to do with courses to take. Now,
Yes.
if you're going for a higher degree, you have to look for a university that has those courses. If it is specifically a course on CCUS or geothermal energy, or so if you're interested specifically in those courses, you have to look for a university that offers them, but there are not many of them. However, if you do your you go ahead to do a master's in petroleum engineering, where you're touching on some advanced things related to petroleum engineering, you can still find out that your skills will be relevant when you decide to go and work for somebody who is involved in carbon storage or geothermal energy or any underground energy storage, because they could be talking about things like estimating pore volumes, numerical simulation. They could be talking about things like hydraulic fracturing. So all of these things are core petroleum technical knowledge. Once you know them, you can easily transfer them. Maybe you may need 1 or 2 other trainings. However, if you want to now go into specific, I want to do CCUS, that's what I want to do, then you need to be looking for a university that offers it in its course content. Okay. The second question you asked was about the skills, the technical skills that are relevant. Now, every single skill that we have as petroleum engineers are very relevant. Now, you talked about data analytics. We are in an era where we have so much information. I am a proponent of using artificial intelligence. And the reason is that we have so much data, so much information from the past. We want to make our life easier for exploration. We want to make our life easier for production. We want to reduce the amount of time we spend on numerical simulation. So this is where artificial intelligence, machine learning can help us. Visualization of data and analyzing and extracting information from data. That's where data analytics come in, because you have so much data, but how do you get this data out, make it presentable, and draw insights that can help in decision making? So that's where things like data analytics come in. So I tell all my students, learn data analytics, learn machine learning. It's part of your courses. That's what I tell them. And I will tell anybody now, it's like getting computer knowledge maybe 10 years back. You need to be computer literate. I would say be machine learning and data analytics literate, because it's going to help you with analyzing data, utilizing data, and making your work more efficient. Okay.
All right, man. Thank you. Thank you for the wonderful answers to the questions. And thirdly, which will be my last question here. I'm a great fan of CCUs. I've been conceiving this CCUs idea for the past 2-3 years, but up to this point, I don't know exactly where to start from. My question goes to CCU research as feasibility for students. How feasible is this CCU research for students, most especially some people like me that are limited to information about CCU? How best do you think I can go with it?
So carbon capture, utilization, and storage, it has a very broad value chain. There's a lot of research ongoing, because this is an area that is newly being explored. Let me say the last 5 years that become more popular. But in terms of research, students can look at properties of the rock that allow us to store CO2. We can look at regional studies on where are the possible sites to store CO2. We can look at what kind of technologies can enable us to extract and capture CO2. So it's a lot. What are injection strategies? Are there any fluids, any fluids we can put in the reservoir that will help us not to fracture our reservoirs when we store CO2? What is going to be the interaction between CO2 and existing fluid? Let's say we inject into a depleted oil field. So the research areas for CCUS are vast. There is a lot of research. What is happening in the near wellbore region? For instance, some people say when you begin to inject CO2, as the CO2 passes through the perforations and get into the reservoir, we may have Joule-Thomson effect. This causes some precipitation or some skin around the wellbore. How can we overcome this skin? Because we want to be able to inject. So there's just so many things to research on CCUS. Yeah.
All right, ma'am. Thank you very much. To cap it all, like, is it I don't know, maybe you're actually specialized in this CCU from what I've been hearing since. So I don't know, maybe I can actually send the email to actually request for a personal mentorship on this CCU of a thing.
Yeah, we can take that offline.
All right. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Yeah.
Okay. I still see a lot of hands up, but we really exceeded our time for answering questions. I'm so sorry, guys, but I hope that you were able to learn as much as possible from Dr. Rita's presentation and from the answers that she has shared. I actually believe that some of the questions that many of the hands raised might have, I think many of them would have already been answered based on what she has said. Before we end this session, we would like to okay, so one other thing that I would suggest, Dr. Rita is very active on social media. You can always reach out to her. She will do her best to respond as soon as she can. So yes, your questions will definitely be answered. She displays her social media initially. So yes, you can reach out to her on social media. And yes, Dr. Rita, we really want to thank you for this session. It was very informative. I'm sure everybody benefited from it. I myself, I took down some notes. Thank you so much for that. And before we end this session as well, we will give you a small token from us. Just more like a certificate or memento of appreciation from UI and the IFP school. I will take a screenshot in a moment. So I'll take it in 3, 2, 1. All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Rita. It was a
You're
pleasure.
welcome. Yeah, so thank you all for the opportunity. I just want to say something that when I started out afraid. I was very scared when they asked me to do projects on geothermal energy, carbon storage, or hydrogen storage. But when I started, I realized that, oh, these things that what I know as a petroleum engineer is very relevant. And so I don't want any of you to be afraid. I want you to just go ahead. Just know that you will learn once you start, and your learning curve will not be very steep because your skills and what you know as petroleum engineers will be relevant. Thank you for this time. Okay. All right.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rita. Good to have you.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Rita. Now we will continue with the game session. For all of the audience, it is hoped that you all can participate in the game session for this time, because there are prizes of 25 euros for the first place winner, 15 euros for second place winners, and 10 euros for third place winner. So this is a very valuable opportunity and very dear to miss.
All right, so the game is just very simple. We will show you a QR code that with your phones, or you can just go to the website as well and then log in. And then you would basically see a prompt or several prompts of questions. You would have to answer them. I think each question should have 4 options. You select the right answer. And yeah, that's basically how the game works. And usually what happens is the game is timed. So at the end of it, the fastest winners that get the most correct answers will be the winners of the game.
Okay, good luck everyone. And for the winner, you have to screenshot your score as proof for claiming the prizes.
Yes, maybe one other thing, because of it's UI and IFP that is organizing the event, we would be excluding UI and IFP members from participating in this game, since we are the host. All right, guys, you can start scanning. Scan the QR code. I would highly recommend that you use your names and maybe your school so that we can easily identify the winners.
Yeah, you guys can go to kahoot.it and enter the game pin. It's 8293812.
All right, so we'll just wait a bit for as many participants to join. And,
I think we should participate, but we don't have the right to win.
no. It will make getting the winners messy.
Sure.
Okay, so guys, maybe in the next 1 minute, we'll just start the game. But try to register as much as you can, as quickly as you can.
Feel free to.
Okay, so you guys can go to the web, the kahoot.it, and enter the game pin on the screen or in the chat Zoom 8293812.
Okay, so okay, I don't see the numbers increasing anymore, so I guess we can just start the game.
Okay, for the operator, you may start the game. Good luck, guys. Okay, for the first question, the largest object moved by man. I think the question is based on the previous presentation. So for all of you that hear the presentation, I think you can answer this question. Oh, the right answer is throw a platform.
Okay, so we can move then.
Ooh, congratulations, Neil. Next. Second question. How is called an inland well in an area where there is no evidence of oil? Is it reservoir, appraisal wells, wildcat wells, or relief wells?
Yeah. All right, guys. We didn't just want to make it so easy, so we mixed some general trivia questions with today's questions. So just keep playing. Okay. We have a winner already.
It's wildcat wells.
Yes. Okay, so we see Chioma is leading now. All right.
It's keep changing. What is the name of the SP's flagship sustainability initiative?
Does anybody know this?
It's slightly different, the options. It makes you hard to choose.
Quite tricky.
Like an exam.
It's real tricky.
Oh
my God,
yes,
it's
you
only
have to
6%.
work hard. You have to work hard to get the money. Still, the easy ones will soon come. I think we'll get about 10 questions from today's presentation as well, not less than that.
Next question. According to U.S. Energy Information Administration, how many gallons of diesel is produced from 1 barrel of crude oil?
Is it 10, 11, 12, or 13?
It's
Okay.
16. It's 12.
12. Okay, Anthony, no, nice.
Next, what is the energy trilemma?
You heard that today. Think about it.
4 of the option have like the 3 word on them. Okay, so the right answer is the 3 main criteria for sustainable energy.
Yeah, nice. Oh, Chema is back up. Okay.
Next, what best describes the main point of Terry's speech? Interesting question.
Yep. Very tricky. You know, he said something about it towards the end. SP is the best resource for adapting to the future of energy. Oh, okay. Chema is still leading.
Which of the following is not a pathway to decarbonization?
I think this was shown on Dr. Rita's slides. I don't know if you took notes. Correct. Fossil fuel exploration and production is definitely not the pathway to decarbonization. Next question.
We still have Kelma Eric on the first place. What is the similarity between geothermal resource development and the EP upstream value chain? Is it both involve drilling and completions, or both involve distribution and marketing, both involve refining, or none of the above?
Careful with your answer. Oh, nice. Most of us answer. Good. Both involve drilling and completions.
Okay, next question. Which of the following is not a part of the EP value chain? Is it geosciences, geothermal energy, reservoir engineering, or production?
Don't forget what E&P means.
It's geothermal energy.
Yeah, that's not part of the exploration and production. Let's go to the next question.
We still have Kelma Eric. Don't worry, guys, we have a lot of questions. Which of the following? Okay, you can read the question.
They cannot read it too. The following skills are relevant for offshore wind development. I clearly remember Dr. Rita giving the answer to this. Let's hope you can remember too.
It's
Good,
resolution and stability.
Yeah, very important. Shema still at the top, followed by Abdulhafiz. All right.
Next, which of the following is not a transferable skills from the petroleum industry to other aspects of the energy mix? Is it reservoir engineering, wind energy, geoscience, or drilling and well completions? I think it's in Dr. Rita's slides.
Yeah, and this is a very easy question. This is very easy.
Yeah, it's wind energy.
Wind energy. Yeah.
Wow, it's still Eric. What are some of the pathways for upskilling and reskilling in the energy industry? Is it advanced degrees certification or formal training programs and short courses or self-study technical meetings or all of the above? It's quite a hard question. I don't have any idea what is the answer. Oh, it's all of the above.
Correct. I clearly remember that being said as well.
Yeah.
Shema still at the top. Let's see how far we can go, guys. What are some of the critical minerals and rare earth elements in the energy industry? So now we're thinking energy, no more E&P. What are the key elements that we can use? See, the answers are rolling in. Nice. Lithium and cobalt. Yeah, that's very correct. Okay, some people have moved up. I see Carez has beaten Petrocare now to take third place. Let's see. Which of the following is not a formal training program for upskilling in the energy industry?
Is it technical mentorships, short courses, certification programs, or informal training workshops?
I wish I was playing this game.
But we can.
Yeah, too sad. All right, yes, informal, that's the word. It's not formal. That's correct. Next question. Okay. Petrocare has overtaken Carez, but Chema is still leading, followed by Abdulhafiz. According to the presentation, how many percent of the global population lives in some level of energy poverty? This from Mr. Palish's slides. Do you remember?
Yeah.
The answers are coming in fast. Great.
It's 60%.
Yes, it's 60%.
Oh, we still have Eric.
Yeah.
What is the projected demand for energy sources by 2064?
Is renewable energy going to replace all other sources? That's a very questionable answer. Let's see. Renewable energy will not replace all the other sources. It won't. Well, right now, Abdulhafiz has gotten to the top, followed by Chema. And let's see if he'll be able to maintain it.
Next, what is the main argument for the continued use of fossil fuels? They have lifted many out of poverty, or they are the most affordable energy source today, or they are the cleanest energy source, or they have no negative impact on the environment. They have lifted many out of poverty.
Yes, Terry Palish stressed on that. Many regions of the world have capitalized on energy, especially in Africa. Producing oil and gas has been the way for economic growth. But yes, we have Chioma still leading. Let's go to the next. What is the main advantage of joining the energy industry according to Terry Palish? He mentioned, I can remember. Yes, we're going to be contributing to sustaining energy sources. That's the key thing. All others are advantages as well, but that's the key thing. So Chioma is back up there now, followed by Abdul Hafiz, and then we have Jenk. What is the main argument against investing in renewable energy?
Let's go, guys. It's 2 more questions left. Its renewable energy sources are unreliable.
Yeah, you can't have them every single time. Solar doesn't last. Let's just pause for like 30 seconds before we move to the last question. Let's just pause. Guys, it's just a game, don't forget. We are playing, we are competing, all right, but we are doing it to have fun with each other. So right now we have Chioma at the top. We have Abdul Hafiz next, and then we have Nico from UPPA. Let's see who our final top 3 participants would be. I think we can answer the last question now. Let's go.
Last question. What is the main argument for increasing energy production? And who's the winner?
Let's see who the winner is going to be.
The answer is energy is critical for life. Okay, let's see the winners. Okay.
Jenk?
The third place is Jenk. Who's the first one?
Oh, we have Chioma.
I'm just
Eric.
pretending that I'm shocked. Okay, congratulations to Kama Eric, Jank, and Abdul Hafiz. You may screenshot your score and send to our committees to claim your prizes.
Yes, and for easy recognition, do you mind? Can you turn on your camera so we can also see you and probably take a screenshot too as well? Lafiz, Choma, Jenk, can you turn on your video camera so we can take a screenshot? Don't be shy, you won already.
Yeah, you won already, guys.
Jenk, Choma, Eric, and Abdul Hafiz. At least so that we can know how to also give the gifts. And you guys come up.
My video is on.
Okay. Okay, Choma, Eric. It's left with Jenk. Who is Jenk? And what about Abdul Hafiz?
Hi, I'm Jenk.
Oh, Jenk. All right, nice.
Hi, I'm Abdulafiz.
All right.
Maybe for operator, you may spotlight the winners and we could take the picture of them.
Yeah. I don't see Chema anymore. All right. All right, good job, guys. Congratulations once again. We will contact you guys subsequently. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. Just to confirm again, Chema, you're from which university? And
Okay, sorry, I'm from University of Nigeria, Nsukka.
okay, UNN, all right. And what about
Yes.
I'm from Bayero University, Kano.
Yes, that's Abdullah Fiz. And then what about Jenk? UTM, right?
Yes, I'm from UTM.
All right, no problem. Thank you so much, guys.
Congratulations once again, guys. Okay, I
It was
think
a great game.
we can move to the next agenda.
Yep.
Okay, once again, for the winners, you can contact the committee for the prizes.
You can unmute yourselves now, please.
All right, so the time finally has come to an end. Before we say goodbye, I would like to give a little reminder for the audience to attend SCDW Day 2, which will be held tomorrow, because there will be guests who are no less interesting, namely Ms. Cassandra Dewan as the chair of SPYMEC, who will present the topic Trailblazing Leadership, Building High-Performing Teams and Organizations. And there will be a roundtable discussion where you will discuss and share ideas with other chapters regarding leadership.
So in addition, we would like to appreciate all of the team behind this wonderful event. It's been several months of planning, talking, calling. It's been amazing all through. So thank you so much, everyone. We really appreciate you. We could have not done it. We couldn't have done it without you guys, honestly. It's been a whole team effort.
And of course, this event will not have been this great without the participation of your chapter. So we would like to say thank you, and we hope that you enjoyed and gained insights from today's event.
Not only that, we would like to also say thank you to all our media partners, people that decided to help us spread the SCDW news all over. Thank you so much, guys. From the University of pardon me if I cannot pronounce this correctly, I will try. University Kasdi Meba, University Technology Malaysia, SPUOB Student Chapter. Thank you so much, guys. Really, really appreciate it. So now, before we officially end this, we're going to take one last final group photo. And I would really, really love it if all the participants on the call can put on their video so that we can just take a very quick photo. Guys, can you please put on your camera? Let's all take a group photo. And the operator.
It's better dark because the light is not happening.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. But we'll take it. It's for the. We're glad to have everyone here. So I would. I don't know if everybody has turned on there. Let me change my view and see. Okay. We have many people turning on their cameras in 3 different levels. So what I would do is I'm going to start by taking, well, let me put it this way, guys. There are a lot of participants, and I have to scroll to like 3 different sides. Zoom does not allow of us to show on one side. So I'll start taking the picture on the first page. So let all of us say cheese, then I'll still take another picture. We'll say cheese again, and then I'll tell you when it's done. So at the count of 1, 2, 3, we'll say cheese. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, I'm going to do that again. Guys, let's get ready for the photo. I see several universities here on the count of 1, 2, 3. Okay, one last time, guys. One last time. On the count of 1, 2, 3. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. Really appreciate this.
Thank you so much, guys. So once again, my name is Nadila. Together with my friend Olusei, we are glad to have you, and it has been a pleasure being with all of you today. Thank you, and see you again tomorrow. Bye, guys. See you in SCDW Day 2.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
See you tomorrow, everyone. Goodbye.
I see some people are still here. Guys, you can leave. The session is over. Anyways, for the committees, it was really, really nice having all of you around. Thank you so much for everything. From UI, thank you so much, guys. We really, really loved it. Thank you so, so much. So we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. See you guys tomorrow.
Yeah, bye.
Goodbye.
Thank you, everyone.
I think everyone has come out. Congratulations, guys. Good job for the first day of SCDW. You're guys doing great. And let's hope that tomorrow at SCDW we can have better participants. And oh, udah nggak ada dia, ya Allah. Gue pikir masih ada AFP, anjir. Gue pakai sih. Sorry.
No, it's fine. All right,
Okay,
guys.
thank you so much from me.
Thank you so much, OC and everyone.
Yeah, bye.
You guys did a very great job. See you guys on day 2.
Yeah, no problem. Take care, guys. Bye.
See you tomorrow. Bye.
Bye, thank you. Congrats.
Jadi gitu aku malu anjir. Gue nyari ya, ini mana nih temen-temen kita di banyak. Aduh, sorry banget guys.
Kenapa
Sorry
ya,
banget.
Dia shock tau aja, sumpah.
Iya, dia shock banget. Tapi gak ngerti, ya Allah, gue mau kasar lagi. Fuck. Sorry Olisei.
Cepet anjir. Aduh, Yara. Soal Goodman siapa?
Maaf ya temen-temen ya. Gue malu banget, bisa gak jadi ya? Gue malu banget, sumpah.
Aja jangan off cam dong.
Gue malu banget aja.
Tadi muka dia langsung shock gitu
tiba-tiba nyambat.
Lu kita keceplosan Prancis juga ya.
Iya lagi. Maaf banget ya temen-temen. Aduh, pegel guys. Oke, gimana coba impressionnya dong?
Yara dapat pacar.
Iya lagi, Yara di chat tahu.
Duduh.
Takut banget.
Takut
Iya.
banget. Tiba-tiba tanya, what was your score in the game? Padahal gue juga jawab enggak.
Udah jawab belum? Udah jawab belum ya?
Takut banget.
Tunggu aja ya.
Pengen langsung jawab kasih nomor rekening.
Oh my god. Mentang-mentang menang ya dia.
Congrats ya guys, keren banget topik lead semuanya. Paling menurut gue kalau misalkan kayak ada masalah-masalah tadi cuma karena keadaan eksternal gitu sih, yang kayak tadi breakout room 2 hina banget kan.
Ini ada yang
Tapi
mau masuk
dari
lagi.
kalian so far oke banget.
Ya jujur, ya itu di luar kuasa kalian juga sih guys. Karena kan kayak udah diajak-ajakin ngomong, tapi pada nggak ada yang speak up gitu
Iya.
kan. Jadi kita
Enggak,
ngomong
lucunya
sendiri gitu dari
lucunya dia nggak nyaut, tapi abis itu dia ngechat Yara nanya skor game.
Enggak, tapi gue juga maksudnya kayak mungkin language barrier juga kali ya. Soalnya di chat tuh juga gue juga bingung gitu loh bacanya. Kayak gue bingung isi chat dia tuh apa maksudnya. Takut banget loh, jujur. Jadi gak apa-apa teman-teman.
Lucu banget South Korea.
Korea pakai C.
Lucu banget. Oke, mungkin kalau dari ini dulu deh, happy area yang lain, Nadul, Farel, dia gimana guys?
Jujur tadi gue agak merasa bersalah sama si Abdul.
Jujur kasihan banget definisi Iba.
Kasihan banget sama
Udah angkat tangan dari awal
sampai turun lagi, terus angkat lagi.
Untungnya dia menang.
Gue tuh kayak udah mau mempersilahkan dia, terus dia lower hand kan. Terus pas mau dipanggil dia nggak bisa on mic, terus gue bingung nih harus gimana dulu, maaf dulu. Terus dia barusan connect LinkedIn gue.
Lucu.
Baik
Lucu
banget.
Gak liat-liat Nadu sama Olusei bestie banget.
Iya, enggak sih jodoh sih menurut gue.
Deket banget tuh. Kalau Nadul yang ngomong si Olu senyumnya lebar bener gue liat-liat.
Iya, tau udah putih banget di gigi.
Takut. Kalau nggak jadi sama Olu, sama Abdul.
Boleh, buat Cece. Kalau dari Farel dia gimana guys? Iya, biarinlah sama Sasha.
Gimana di ada yang mau disampaikan?
BTW Farel live reportnya keren banget. Terus cepet.
Gue belum lihat. Aduh, keren banget pasti.
Keren banget.
Aman guys, tadi gue muter-muter breakout room kan, kayak banyak banget yang kocak-kocak gitu sih.
Oh iya.
Kenapa ya dia kayak gitu ya?
Bear 5 tuh kayak apa ya? Yang anak ITS salah topik nggak sih?
Iya.
Malah
dulu mereka ngenalin ITS terus kayak present tentang petrolida kayak.
Iya.
Aneh banget.
Promosi. Ya kayak mereka sekalian promosi deh maksudnya.
Iya dah kayaknya.
Oke. Kalau dia gimana gimana kesan-kesanmu?
Pesan gue, kakak gue keluar masuk kamar terus.
Dari tadi gue lihat deh, jujur. Kayak ada yang melayang di belakangnya dia dari tadi.
Sama, ini kan gue ke BR4 ya. Terus yang dari Afrika tuh beneran presentnya lama banget anjir. Kayak 16 slide tuh sampai nggak bisa Q&A ya.
Siapa namanya? Siapa di?
Apaan ya? Ada nggak sih Dilan ada?
Ini tarik Husain kenapa mau masuk terus ya?
Yang University of Uyo itu lama banget. Sampai 10 menit nyampe aku itu.
Lucu banget.
Iya.
Semangat banget.
Mana suara mendem gitu nggak sih? Jadi kayak nggak kedengeran kalau gue ya.
Iya, nggak kedengeran apa-apa juga.
Berarti mereka excited guys.
Iya benar. Bapak mereka excited.
Betul.
Sayang banget yang nanya pas Pak Terry tuh kayak hena-hena.
Iya.
Iya kenapa
tapi baik sih Terry-nya.
Engineers dalam oil and gas kayak lu bisa nanya ke dosen lu, boy.
Nah, itu bisa nge-search di Google sebelum mau masuk. Kata gue itu caper ke Mr. Terry doang sih.
Dia tahu, iya benar lagi.
Caper doang sih. Kita kayak caper dan berani gitu loh. Jadi kayak
gitu. Gimana nih kalau dari Kak Ica, Ibren gimana Kak?
Tiba-tiba gue.
Nah, apakah sebagai pengamat nih?
Alhamdulillah tadi biar gue aman, ada Yemima yang men-support ya, makasih Yem. Tapi biar gue aman sih tadi karena bareng Tessa juga ya, thank you Tessa. Anjay. Terus menurut gue tadi lumayan stable tau guys pas tengah-tengah, cuman sayangnya pas BR agak itu sih sampai 60-an, tapi menurut gue itu kayak wajar banget sih, kayak nggak apa-apa gitu, tapi kayak itu tadi udah bener-bener stabil banget, jadi keren banget, oh my god.
Iya benar.
Keren.
Congrats guys. Pokoknya hari ini menurut gue udah keren banget sih. Maksudnya bahkan sampai akhir sesinya Dokter Rita pun masih 90
Iya benar.
stabil gitu loh, kayak
Masih
naik,
banyak sih itu ya.
naik turun tapi kayak at least 90-an ke atas gitu, dan kayak itu
Yang banyak keluar anak ITS gue lihat tadi.
Oh mereka nggak minat main games gitu ya.
Ya, biarin aja.
Habis promosi langsung